Hi, I'm Tim Rowe. Welcome to Cambridge Innovation Center. I'm the founder and CEO, and I'm going to give you a little tour. So Cambridge Innovation Center is the world's largest cluster of startups in one building. We have about 450 startups here, all in this big office tower. We're across the street from the MIT campus. Typically, companies come here, of course, to work and build their companies, but also because of the connections they can make with all the other companies that are here. Startup culture is not naturally there in every city. You have to build it. It comes from people being excited about being in startups, not thinking that they're a weirdo because they've not taken a regular job, but rather that they're pursuing a career path that matters and can change the world. So CIC has 50 conference rooms, massage therapy rooms, video conference studios, kitchens, cafes, a lot of social space where people get the work done that doesn't happen in the office. I have the server wall, which is a facility for companies to put their development servers. When Google first came to New England, they actually had their development servers for the next generation of Google products running right in these racks. The main idea is that if you're a startup, it's expensive to build facilities, such as a facility to house your servers that's properly cooled and has redundant internet access and backup power and all those sorts of things. We can build that once and share it over the course of a decade with 1,000 startups. It's much cheaper for each startup. So today we have a wait list that comprises companies that would fill approximately a full floor of this office tower. We're desperate for more space. That wasn't always the case. When we got started, initially there was a lot of excitement, and then the dot-com bust hit, and we worried, were we going to be able to make it or go the way of the dodo? My aha moment was pretty simple. I was working in Singapore at the time. My wife had been working in Europe. We were traveling all over. We decided to quit our jobs and create startups. And so we flew back home. My family's from here. I've come from Cambridge. And started to think about what we wanted to work on. And my wife had an idea before I did. So I said, look, I'll help you with your idea. And the first thing was to get office space. And so we went out and we looked for office space. And if you haven't done this before, you may not realize this, but typically landlords say, look, we would like you to commit to 3, 4, 5 years. We need you to make a personal guarantee of the lease, rent, which might be hundreds of thousands of dollars. And for an early stage entrepreneur, that's just a really hard thing to do. And I looked at that and I said, wait a minute, time out, there must be a better answer here. And there really wasn't at the time, so we built one. We got started in 1999 during the dot-com boom, and money was incredibly plentiful. The early idea was that a lot of these companies would be our own ideas. We found out that the other people's ideas were much better than our own, and we were able to become a better supporter, if you will, for everyone's ideas rather than just our own. An early supporter of Cambridge Innovation Center is this guy. This is my dad, Dick Rowe, who runs a not-for-profit here. He lent me the money to, just the initial startup money just to kind of get going. It turned out that startups just kept coming out of MIT, kept starting up. People were looking for space. They wanted to be around each other. And this thing has snowballed ever since. We got MIT to give us some space. We worked with them to make the costs reasonable for entrepreneurs, and the rest is history. It was kind of random. We took what we could get. We made with it what we could. It's expensive to take an old floor and make it nice and pretty and new. So for many years we just used what was there, used it as is. As we've gotten bigger, we've had the wherewithal to start redeveloping floors, making them a little bit more functional for entrepreneurs. We're standing in front of Critical Mass. Critical Mass is a collaboration with the New England Venture Capital Association. What's happening is that venture capital funds are giving startups that they think are promising what we call a golden ticket, which is a free pass to have space here. For instance, we have a company here that's working on a next generation antibiotic. And often those first few months are critical months where you don't have much money, you're writing your business plan, you're finding out who's willing to support you with your idea, and something like this contribution from the Venture Capital Association can make a big difference. I'm going to take you now into the offices of a startup that's here. This company is called Gupta Media. They started here several years ago. Their founder is here. He may come out and say hello. Gupta Media handles the social media, the online tweeting and so forth for some of the biggest music stars in the world. I know, for instance, that Beyonce is one of their clients. Let's go in and say hello. So this is every time tweets come through, this is how those are converted. This is the number of impressions so far today, 33 million impressions. And that way they can also track centrally how many clicks did they actually get, and go to the providers of, say, Beyonce's music and say, you know, we sent you 1 million clicks, you know, what was your conversion into people buying that song? So these guys are not-for-profit. Particularly they focus on areas where there's no device that's cheap enough to be in the third world. One of them, for instance, is an infant incubator, which is much cheaper than the incubators we're familiar with in the hospitals in the US. These guys take a problem like that back, get volunteer engineers at places like MIT to invent a solution, and then manufacture a product that is typically 100 times cheaper than the normal product. We just visited a tech company. You guys are obviously at the other end of the spectrum with a medical device. Is there a device somewhere in the room you could point to and explain what it is?
My name is Tim Prestero and I'm the CEO of Innovators. So what this allows us to do is treat newborn jaundice in hospitals where they might otherwise not have the resources to treat jaundice. Put a baby in there. This is probably one of the world's most effective phototherapy devices. We're finding that it treats kids in about half the time of a conventional medical device, and at about 1/10 of the cost.
This product over here, for instance, is a projector which can be used in a rural school. Schools that have no electricity, they can take a battery out of a motorcycle and hook this projector up to it and run the school for the night. We think of projectors as computer projectors. They don't have computers. So this uses an old technology, a microfiche reel, to display images from effectively textbooks up on the side of a building at night. And students can then learn math, you know, learn science, learn languages, as a group.
For children under 5, so children under 5 who don't get listening assistance or hearing aids never learn to speak. They never learn language. You imagine, first of all, how do you fit a hearing aid to a child, and then how do you get it to stay with them as they're running all around? So this clips onto the child's clothes. We've got an experiment of making it look more like a toy, so they want to keep it around. And then we've got this guide, which is intended for mom and dad who don't necessarily know how to read. So how do you teach somebody how to take care of a sophisticated piece of medical technology at home? So you can see that the graphics, people look like the people who are going to receive the device. So we're a nonprofit. We receive a mix of things. So there's foundation, government philanthropy, or financial support. We also work with companies, though. If you think about big American companies, where are their next 400 million customers going to come from? It's not here. So we have had partnerships with companies that are interested in understanding how to sell products in these markets, like hearing aids.
Yeah, so we have a lot of different kinds of companies here. You know, certainly we have technology companies, the people doing Twitter and things like that. We have a company up here which is more of a military technology company, mechanical devices.